To complete a bank reconciliation within your Reviso agreement, the first thing you need to do is to download your bank statement into an Excel CSV file, and then make sure that it's laid out, that you have the correct columns required. So in Excel, this is how your bank statement should look, or this is the information you'll need. Column for the date, column for the text or description of the transaction, and then the amount, debits and credits, being in one column. So the positive figures and the negative figures all being entered into one column. This is then saved as an Excel CSV file, and it's then ready to import. Then log into your Reviso agreement, select Payments from the top banner, and select Bank Reconciliation. Here you can select Import CSV File, and you can import more than one month at the same time because bank reconciliation is done on a monthly basis, so it's all driven by the date. So import, choose your file which you would have saved onto your system, and select Load. It's highlighting the top two rows as these are header, so contain header information, and you cannot import. If you don't have these highlighted and you select to import, you'll get an error message. So you need to highlight these two by selecting skip lines or skip rows. And then it's a case of matching. The date is column 1, text is column 2 here, so we're pulling it in from column 2, and the amount is column 3. Just below the load file, you'll see the option Import Data. Click on this. The system will then tell you how many transactions have been loaded into the system. So you can close this down. And then we're starting at August here. So the balance on the left-hand side, which are the transactions that you've created, tie in with the bank statement import on the right hand side. So you can tick these entries here, one against the other, and select Approve. That will then place a locking reconciliation flag against this entry here and this entry to say it's now been reconciled. And you can see the closing balance is the same on both sides, and there is zero amount for remaining for reconciliation. You can also click on here, and this shows a reconciliation report which can be printed off, just giving you the balance on the system and the balance on the bank. Once you've completed one month, you can then move on to the next month, and if there's no transactions in that month, the balance from the previous month will carry forward, and we'll just go to the end this financial year because we're doing about 6 months import here, and we have another transaction here. Approve that. So again, you can run off your report for December and save that. If you make a mistake, you can simply click this and select Undo, and it will then undo the transactions from being reconciled. Okay, we're now going to move on to 2017. Go to January. There's no transactions there. And find the month where you have your next transactions. So our next month is July, and you can see remaining for reconciliation is the same amount here as it is here. So you can select Auto Reconcile, and that can be based on the number of days. Maximum is 5, and that's the number of days that the transaction was dated when you entered it, as opposed to when it actually went through your bank. You can also allow several bank statement entries to one system entry, and vice versa. Select Complete. This will then try and reconcile based on the date and the amount. As you can see, these are all reconciled here, so you can then again run your report and then move on to the next month. Let's go to August. Okay, we can try the same again. We've got a slight difference here in what's gone through the bank as to what has actually gone through or you've processed on the system. So you can do auto reconcile again and it will match up. So we have these two items here which you've processed or have been processed within the system but have yet to appear on the bank statement, and likewise we have these two entries here which appear on the bank statement but have yet to be processed within the system. So you can treat these in various ways. You can tick these two items here, bank charges and bank interest, so it's possible you weren't notified of these transactions until you imported your bank statement, and then you can click on transfer, and then you can select the type of entry, which in both cases is journal entry. It's not a customer payment and it's not a supplier payment, and then you can enter the code that you want these charges to go to, in this case bank charges, and in this case bank interest received, and then you can enter the amount here and the amount here, and then you can select book, and that will then place the entry on the system side of your bank reconciliation, and you can see them here and they have now been booked. What you can also do is click on this icon here and it will show only unreconciled. So all the reconciled are now behind the scenes. So we've got two transactions dated the 31st of August, so there's every chance that these might not have hit your bank statement until September. So you can move to September and get a preview just by hovering over the month up here. So we can see that £90 and £43 didn't actually go through until September. So what you can do is click on the drop down here and carry them forward to the next period. So we're still in August. Our bank actually balances here, but we can see the total of these two transactions, 133.82, has now been carried forward to the next period. So if we click on here and show the report for the bank reconciliation for August, you can see that this is the bank according to the system, according to your bank statement, and these two entries have been carried forward to your next period. Close that screen down, and then if we go to September, you will see them here. If they weren't in September but you know they went through in October, then you can push them through to October. If you've pushed these through accidentally to September, then you need to go back to August, and then you can cancel it by clicking on the drop down arrow, and it will bring them back into the period of August. They did actually go through in September, so you'll see them here. So then all the transactions are fully reconciled and approve, and you've now completed your bank reconciliation so far up to the end of September, and also for your previous months. So you've caught up with your entire bank reconciliation. So all that's left to do now is to repeat the process. You can download your bank statement from the 14th or the 13th if you have transactions which came into your bank later on that day, and import in exactly the same manner.